What's going on, everyone? Thank you so much for stopping in. Hope you're all having a fantastic evening so far. It's about to get better here at Hyperion. We're about to jump into a really exciting game. But before we do that, let me introduce myself. I am Lord Ethan, joined in the booth by Zoe. How are you doing tonight, Zoe?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to be casting an Overwatch. I think we got a good game on our hands tonight, Ethan. What do you think?
Yeah, we've got a really good game tonight. I, in particular, was super excited to watch this one unfold. If you guys watched the Hyperion in the Hyperion Cup preview on Thursday, you guys know that I'm pretty excited to watch Tempest Typhoon play up against Kaiju Core Clover. I'm a big fan of both these teams, but I've gotten to see some recent stuff from Kaiju Core Clover and some of their members. So I'm pretty eager to just jump right into the action. Let's take a look at both these teams. Zoe, run us through Tempest Typhoon here.
So on Tempest Typhoon, we got on the off tank Panda Bear, main tank, or actually Flex specifically, will be Yikes. And I am stumbling over my words. Don't worry about me. I'm not warmed up. Flex is Yikes, Lemon Pepper, and Shara. Kreia. Sorry, I already forgot your name. Supports are Dr. Brennan and Dawn Super, and your DPS are Jab Gamer and Z or Zai. Terrible
Yeah,
offense. I'm very sorry, everyone.
I mean, just have names that are easy to pronounce. Forehead, right? All right, like Lord Ethan. That one's pretty.
Exactly.
That one never stumbles my contemporaries. I'm really excited to see the squad in action. We're going to see a lot of familiar faces, hopefully a lot of familiar plays as well. They ended up placing fifth in the Hyperion Invitational, so they're looking to come back in a big way. And what better of an opponent to come up against than Kaiju Core Clover? Let's take a look at their roster. Not much has changed. Again, if you were at the preview, well, rather, if you weren't at the preview, shame on you. You should have been there. Dogfish is the newest pickup to Kaiju Core Clover. If you would know this if you'd shown up on Thursday, but we're going to see some returning faces. Felix Felicis and Glitch on the front lines. JB Rocks and Copel backing up the team. Cannon made waves of impact in the Hyperion Invitational, and we never really got to see much of Radiant Light. So I'm really eager to see if they're able to be subbed in for any of these particular maps. And speaking of maps, again, jumping right into the action, I don't want to miss out on anything. And we're not going to miss out on anything here on Lijiang Tower. That's going to be our first map. And you guys can see as well, it's a TBA on the rest of those, meaning that the map picks go to the losers. And then I think as well, correct me if I'm wrong, production here, but the winners get to pick the side. Yeah, I'm correct. So Zoe, heading into map one again, that'll be Lijiang Tower. We've got a map pool as well for the remainder of the maps. So at least here for split one, we'll be looking at for our escort map Dorado, Havana, and Rialto. Any one of these particular maps or any of the other maps that are in the pool for split one that you're excited to see?
I mean, we all love Scrims Row. We've all seen too much Scrims Row. We don't want more Scrims Row. I always love watching a good Hanamura game. Hanamura, when it's played well, is such an interesting match to watch because that main choke there, it's so interesting to see how teams break through. You've got Sim TPs, Brawl v Brawl. You can try and poke him down. You've got the top window. You can put like a Pharah or an Echo through. There's a lot of interesting ways to play Hanamura, and I'm personally very partial to Blizzard World. I love Blizzard World. I think Blizzard World's very interesting and how it varies between the 3 points. Point A, very traditional, very open, one main high ground, but that often doesn't end up being that important. And you've got this very enclosed point. Then you hit point 2. It's all about the high ground on point 2 of Blizzard World. You cannot win point 2 Blizzard World without at least not giving the enemy team control of high ground. And then we hit point 3. It's tight. It's enclosed. It reminds you of King's Row. It's a perfect brawl situation. I love watching teams brawl out on Blizzard World. But focusing on the map we have here, Lijiang Tower, 3 very different points. You've got Gardens, classic boot map, up there with Ilio's Well. You can see Lucio's. You can see Pharah's. You can see Echoes. You can see anything. Zombie Comp has been very popular here. I don't know if either of these teams are going to run it, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Pharah's, Lucio's, anything. Gardens is wide open. Then you move into Night Market, where the Sim TP reigns supreme. Brawl on point. Get there with the Sim TP. Brawl on point, and then when you lose, you go to something poke. You get a Pharah. You get a Rissa. So many different ways to play Night Market. And then you go indoors. You go to Control Center. You can have a Pharah on the outside if you want to poke, but you take that white moon control. Rein, Zarya, Junkrat. it's so much variance. There's so many different comps you can play on all 3 points, and all 3 points lend themselves to different comps. It's so interesting, Ethan.
Yeah, I'm, really, and I think you and I were talking about this before. Control point really isn't quite my speed. In fact, I'm one of the rare fans of the 2CP, the assault game mode. So I am pretty interested to see what both these teams are going to be running for any of our viewers who are also watchers of some other leagues. We've seen as well the 6-man Indeed being run there on Lijiang Gardens, and we've seen some really interesting counters to it as well. Let's jump right into Lijiang Tower and let these teams begin to sort out their compositions here. Starting on Control Center, I've always referred to this as kind of a map where you just kind of have to meta slave it out. It's the rush style spam damage compositions. You sim TP out, you Lucio speed boost, and then you walk in a white room with a shield up.
There are certainly some cheeky things you can do with like putting a Pharah on the outside, but like you said, this is the map where Reinhardt reigns supreme. It's one of the few maps where as a Reinhardt player you can still have fun. I mean, that little white room we're looking at right now is so beautiful for Reinhardts, for Junkrats, and we do see the Rein Diva Junkrat coming out from both sides. A mirror right now. I expect to see both of these Symmetra switch. You can hold on to the Symmetra, but it's more common to swap it out for a Cassidy or for a Doomfist, even something else. You don't tend to stick with the Symmetra. You certainly can, though.
Yeah, for me, it's like you kind of play her until you've got that photon barrier up. You use that, and then after that, as soon as Symmetra stops working, you kind of swap off there. I anticipate seeing Zai and Dogfish both hang out on this hero pick. You can see this quick engagement into the white room as well. Turrets all set up, but quickly dispatched here as well. Yikes, looking for an angle to find some damage there, but Zai is already out, and the immortality field has been expanded here for kaiju core clover. This means that Glitch and Felix have to play a little bit safer, but there's a white room is a good territory to control.
It certainly is, and they just kind of got the better of that early poke Clover did. They had the better health bars. They managed to get that big pick on his eye. There will be a recontest here, though.
Yeah, you're going to have a touch here from Yikes. Going to be looking to take some space here, some serious agency, but they play into a shatter from Glitch, already building that ultimate up and using it to, once again, eliminate Zai as they reconnect to the team. You didn't end up getting Dawn Super, though, so the speed boost, the healing is still going to be there in the window as well from Dr. Brennan. You can play around that, but Tempest Typhoon, they're struggling for space, so we're going to see them disengage entirely.
Yeah, and I mean, that poke advantage turned into an ult advantage. Oh lord, that's a shatter.
Yeah, Yikes coming back in a really quick fashion. It seems that the disengagement kind of favored Tempest Typhoon there, but the sound barrier is going to favor Kaiju Core Clover now. Cannon has to respawn. We won't have that tire to work with, so in the meantime, let's use a photon barrier to make this fight a victory here for Clover.
And Clover have just looked more disciplined, is what I want to say. They've been re-engaging and disengaging more cleanly. Tire coming out though.
Yeah, it's gonna work to find its target right now for Tempest Typhoon. What they really want is space that the main tanks can use there. Nice use of the immortality field to prevent that damage, though. Felix is out of mech here as turrets find their eliminations. Cannon has to respond in kind. You lose Dawn Super, still not with that sound barrier, and the fight is over here for Kaiju Core Clover, but they have to retake the point.
Yeah, and that tire, you're actually pretty happy with that tire if you're Kreia. It made space, it battered the front line of Clover, and it let you get control of this point, at least temporarily.
Yeah, it's interesting. I really thought that it wouldn't take so long for Kaiju to get to regain control of this objective, but Sai finds Copal out in the fight, and despite the shatter from Glitch, Dawn Super was really responsive there. Photon Barrier isn't really enough to work with here for Tempest, though. It's not enough to stay on the point, which means the point ends up flipping back to Clover.
And, I mean, Tempest, they have only the sound barrier. And meanwhile, on the other side of Kaiju Core Clover, you're coming up to both DPS ults, both support ults, and you've got the self-destruct. If you're Tempest, you have to take this fight quick, lose it quick, and force Clover to use as many ults as possible so you can get one last fight, hopefully on even ult footing. If they can't get out at least 3 ults, they're in dire straits for this final fight. And they might have taken too long already.
Yeah, quite possibly. There's a self-destruct lobbed in. It's going to end up finding Kreia and Zai both. That's both of the DPS out here for Tempest Typhoon. They're out of the fight, and you've once again, you've only got the sound barrier from Don Super to work with. Immortality Field has been thrown by JP Rocks, however. So as the sound barrier drops for both sides, the photon barrier is going to be erected here by Dogfish, and the window is here to play around for JP Rocks. However, succumbing to the shatter from Yikes, things are looking harrowing here for kaiju core clvr, but not harrowing enough. Tempest Typhoon not able to take enough out of that. There's a last-minute shatter there from Glitch, and a fire strike just to make sure we don't have a touch. That's going to be first map going to clvr.
Yeah, and I think based on what we've seen so far, that map's going to favor clvr every time. They just looked like the more disciplined Brawl team, you know? Like I said earlier, they were disengaging more cleanly. They were re-engaging more cleanly. Everything about their Brawl was clean, coordinated, and together, and that's how you have to play Brawl. Gone are the days where you can put your Zarya or your D.Va on a flank and have them solo play. You can't have your Junkrat go on an adventure and try and find a pick. You've got to be playing together. This Doomfist from Korea, though, this could be interesting since both teams look like they want to sim TP through the store. If he gets it right and gets a bit lucky, he could get an instant punch onto, like, JB, and that could be huge for this opening fight.
At least, you know, when you're starting out, because we're going to see both teams teleport onto this objective here from that upper window. You know, if things work out like this, JB Rocks is going to throw the Immortality Field pretty early on. It might mitigate some of that damage from Kreia, but you're absolutely right. Oh, ultimately, it's going to be Kreia going down, unfavored in the fight there against Dogfish, taken out by one of those turrets. And with Felix out of mech, things are looking stabilizable here for Tempest, but they do still have to play this fight out. Here's Glitch swinging at the door, looking to regen the barrier. Ultimately going on a ballsy pin here, finding Yikes out of the fight as well is really good. Without the main tank here, Tempest is going to struggle in means of point presence, and look at that, Panda Bear is demeched as well.
Yeah, and what that Doomfist didn't do is get a pick, but what it did do is get attention, and this fight's not looking good for clvr, or not looking good for Tempest, excuse me, but it's not unwinnable.
Well, it's actually, yeah, it's really winnable for both sides because, look, Yikes actually landed a massive shatter after Glitch had gone for the ult themselves. The point is still going to stay in control of Kaiju Core clvr here, but the Photon Barrier has been erected here by Zai. Ultimately, it's not, once again, these Photon Barriers from Zai, it's not really enough to play around. Felix is going to be able to clean up this fight. And
that Photon Barrier placement just, it frankly wasn't good. Like, his turrets have been good. His Photon Barriers on that last map were pretty solid, but that wasn't a good Photon Barrier. They had lost too many, not to mention the fact it didn't really give them anything to play around. It sectioned off this tiny corner of the point none of them could reach. You want to put a Photon Barrier right down the middle of the point, either way, horizontal or vertical, so your team can so the enemy team is forced to either play behind it and back up and give you space, or they're forced to push through it into you and you can make good advantage of it.
Yeah, it's one of those instances that you just kind of ult just because you have it with the intention to switch. We see Zai here on the Cole Cassidy now. Kreia going down to a damage amplified alternate fire. Right-clicky there from Dogfish, which puts them closer. They are Photon Barrier as well. You're coming up on the self-destruct from Felix. Without Kreia, it looks like Tempest is a little less eager to engage, and losing Zai means that they have to leave this fight entirely.
And both teams are over onto this Junkrat now, but it feels like Cannon has just been getting so much more value out of it than Kreia. And yes, he swapped earlier, but you look at the ult charges, and Kreia's been shut down, and I think a lot of that has to go to all of that credit has to go to Felix. I mean, with those well-timed D-matrices, taking away those mines, ensuring that Glitch can rest his barrier, not letting those mines get through.
Ooh, nice block on the shatter there. That actually looked like it might have been connected. In fact, until the bug fix, it might very well have. It's going to be Panda Bear finding an elimination with the self-destruct. However, big plays from Glitch here, helping to eliminate Yikes. Felix is going to play the front lines, but you have Dawn super connected to the objective, just kind of hanging out there, ready to take it. Ultimately, going to have to speed out, but you have to recontest because it's 99 to 8%, and Kaiju Core clvr have won the first map in the series.
And simply put, that was dominant. Like, Tempest were never really in that. I do think Tempest clearly have the talent to win, but they can't mirror the rush. It's not going to work for them. Considering our map pool, I would love to see them take us to somewhere like Hollywood, Dorado, or Blizzard World, where they could play a dive style. Just, they can't keep mirroring this rush. It's not working for them. They're getting outclassed on the rush v rush.
And it's just kind of unfortunate because, as I mentioned earlier, this is one of those maps that you just kind of just kind of got to make this rush composition work, or as well, you have the opportunity to pull out some really wonky strategies, as I've seen in other competitions. But that takes a lot of planning, a lot of coordination, as well as the willingness to run a composition like maybe Hog Zarya, Hog Diva. There's some weird ways to combat the rush style, but you're right. Control point Lijiang Tower plays a little too strong to the strengths of Clover. I think that's going to be a prevailing theme of the series, though. Kaiju Core Clover is an extremely strong team, and despite the hard work that Tempest Typhoon has been putting in during the off season for the Hyperion Cup, I'm curious about how much resistance to Clover we're actually going to see from them. I am excited to see some big moments here. We got to see one last map from Yikes there on the Reinhardt, and I'm really excited to see exactly what Zaya, Kreia, Panda Bear, and the support lineup can bring as we head into our next map. We're heading to Rialto.
I don't mind this Rialto. Rialto is a map famous for double shield, and for good reason. You've got a lot of narrow corridors that Rush doesn't mind, but double shield loves. I want to see from Tempest Typhoon that double shield. I don't want to see them come out on that Rhine, on that Diva. I think they're capable of playing it. I don't think they're capable of mirroring Clover on it. That's just, it wasn't working for them. Thinking back to Night Market, maybe I've been spending too much time with our mutual friend and noted ball one trick juggle god, but I would have loved to see them go to something like a Sigma ball on that control center, or not control center, excuse me, on that Night Market. You can have the ball roll through for disruption. You've got the Sigma that the supports can play around. I think that could have worked for them, but we'll see what they have here on Rialto. They have some options here. If they mirror the Rush again, maybe it not being control is all they need, but I would still think they would want to not run into that mirror.
You're absolutely right. There are a lot of options that Tempest has heading into Rialto. I think about Streets Phase and that initial high ground that you've got to fight through after the bridge, immediately after the first objective capture, and so I think about that area in particular. I think about Double Shield and how dominant it has been in the metagame as well. That tends to elicit some interesting DPS hero picks as well. You're looking at heroes like Doomfist, who can just go straight through the shields, or the Junkrat to break those shields. This is a map where snipers and hit scans are all pretty strong. Heading into this next map, do you anticipate seeing the double shield as well, or do you think that Tempest Typhoon will continue to meet Clover in this rush mirror and just kind of clean up the little bits and pieces that they need to really find a favorable team fight against this particular opponent?
Based on them not swapping on Night Market, a point where you can play some things other than Rush, I expect them to try and run it back again. I don't want them to, but I expect them to. If they clean up some things, if they're a little bit cleaner on their engages and disengages, if their Diva defense matrices are just that little bit more crisp, a little bit better timed that we saw from Kaiju Core Clover, I definitely think they have the potential. I just would love to see them run something else. This is a map where you can run Zombie Comp, you can run Dive, you can run Two Shield. I would love to see one of those come out of them. Just mix it up. I mean, you got massacred on that first map. I'm sure you feel like you have the potential to clean up your Rush and beat them in the Rush mirror. If you don't, that's a bad sign in its own right. But I feel like that's something for scrims, for practices, for week 2. Here, I don't think you have enough time to quite clean everything up and discuss everything you need to successfully mirror them. What I want to see is I want to see them run something else. Like I've said multiple times, they've got to have the talent. If they don't have the talent, that would shock me. I'm new to this tournament. I'm new to these teams. You're not, Ethan, obviously, but they have the talent. They have to. There's no way you're in this tournament without having the talent to run something other than Rush. So, speaking of like Zombie, Dive, Double Shield, what would I like to see most? I think I would like to see that Double Shield the most. Dive can work here, but it struggles in the courtyard right before you cap point A. Zombie Comp also can definitely work, but there's a lot of corners, and Zombie Comp doesn't like maps with a lot of corners because it can allow people to just back away from them, negate that Lucio speed boost, And then what does Zombie Comp have? If you're not speed boosting into them, you're kind of just sitting there dying. I think double shield is the winning play here if you're Tempest. That's my thought process.
It's a pretty unpopular opinion, wanting to see double shield composition being run by any team in particular. I know a couple of players who tend to fall asleep behind their monitors when they play up against double shield. We'll have to see what Tempest really wants to accomplish here. Really, more importantly, how they want to accomplish these objectives. They'll be going on the attacking round first. Kaiju Core clvr, in traditional fashion, has opted for the defense here, starting off with a really good position. You typically want to go for defense first, partially to see what the enemy is running, partially to to make the series maybe a little bit shorter.
There are merits to attacking first, though. If you attack first, you get to set that tempo. You love setting that tempo, and I love what I'm seeing here already from Tempest.
Talk about tempo setting.
Yeah, you're with this comp, you're gonna go hard, you're gonna go fast, and you're gonna go in with your tanks. And then you've got the Tracer, can come in from weird angles. You've got Kreia on this Pharah. They can just crap in damage from wherever they want. There's so many buildings for Pharah to play behind on this map. I think Pharah is one of the most underrated heroes on this map, especially on point A. They've got so many buildings, roofs, balconies, like little alcoves you can dip into. Let that Mercy that Dr. Brendan's going to be playing heal you up. If Typhoon executes this well, this could be a scary fast point A take.
And I think as well, kind of contrary to what we were seeing on Lijiang Tower, we want to see Zai and Kreia really enabled here on the DPS role. So I really like this direction. Speaking of direction and the lack thereof, the hiding there. Glitch ends up getting in trouble for it. Felix does end up trading for Dawn Super, but the damage has already been done here. Now on the rush composition, it has to be an all-in here from Kaiju Core clvr, and if they're securing eliminations while at it, then that's fantastic. Finding the D-Mech and the Panda Bear is a really great, not start, but continuation of this fight, which means the stabilization around this corner is perfectly viable.
And Tempest was just caught flat-footed there. You saw Zai, you saw Kreia floating around the map, trying to figure out where Kaiju Core clvr were. They just never considered they could be in that room. Kreia got a good boop off onto Glitch early on in that fight, but by that point, if the rush has been able to amp speed onto you as dive, you've kind of already lost that fight.
As well as, depending on who you lose, it makes it difficult to engage. And I really want to see Tempest just diving into the backlines onto JB Rocks. And as Glitch goes down again, the Barrage finds its commitment. Kreia goes down in the process, but Dogfish is out of the fight. That's the hit scan. That's the one who can deal with Kreia and also counters Zai. Dr. Brennan popping the Valkyrie, looking to stay in this fight, looking to keep the team in the fight as the revivable, looks like the little revive orb for Glitch began to fade there. It's going to be Zai picking up the eliminations and closing out this first fight here for Tempest.
Oh, I was about to say...
Ooh, that's Primal.
I was about to say I don't like this Primal commitment from Yikes, but then he goes and staggers Glitch massively. It's going to be a real challenge for clvr to recontest this point. And, I mean, they have the Nano Boost, too. He can just build another one in no time at all. Zai's nearly got that high noon. They've got such this ult advantage already.
Ooh, and there's the Nano finding its use, but it's in the front. It's in front of a window in a blizzard. But look at all the picks; they're all Tempest Typhoon eliminations onto Kaiju Core clvr. This means a first point capture, and look at the time remaining in the bank as well.
And this is what I was talking about before we got into this map. This is what I wanted to see from Tempest Typhoon. This is beautiful. This is exactly what they needed to do. They got smoked in that first map. Okay, fine. You forget about it. You pick Rialto, a map Dive is very good on. It's control, exactly like you said. It's a weird map. Weird things happen. You couldn't mirror them on the rush. Whatever. You come in here. You put out a masterclass of dive, and now suddenly it's clvr that's on the back foot.
Well, yeah, not for long, though. It's the commitment of the beat and the shatter there that ends up netting them this win on the fight, as well as the favorable staging there on the high ground. For now, Tempest will have to reset.
And that was definitely a good fight. That was a fight they needed from clvr. If they lose that fight, it's alarm bells, red alert, DEFCON 0, however you want to phrase it. It's a nightmare. But they've still got Kreia behind them, and if he can distract Dr. Brennan here, which he can... they've got the ults to win this fight. They've got those double DPS ults. They've nearly got the Primal. They've got the Self-Destruct. Looking over the side of clvr, they're reliant on either a big and fast Ant Matrix or Dogfish to find something big.
Ooh, interesting. And Dogfish is out of the fight as well, taken out by the High Noon from Zai. Nice use of the Ice Block from Cannon to mitigate that, but now the fight is going to happen on the low ground here. Oh, Felix releases and Glitch, both being taken out by the self-destruct. Kreia sneaking around in the backside. It's almost as if Kreia stopped getting tracked there by kaiju corp clvr.
And you know, one thing that not kaiju corp clvr, that Typhoon Tempest have done really nicely, I bigged up Felix in this last map. They were doing great. Now, they have too many places to look. They have the Pharah above and behind them. They've got the McCree off on an off angle. They've got the D.Va on the off angle. They've got a Winston and an on in their face. He can't eat everything, and it looks like they want to go to double shield as soon as they spend these ults.
Quite possibly. At the very least, the D.Va Orisa classic defense composition might be strong here. The window, kind of tenuous. It's not, it's far enough back that you can use it to get Kreia down, and Kreia wants to go a little bit aggressive there. As the card begins to round this corner, you're going to have the Primal from Yikes pushing people off of the objective, pushing kaiju corp clvr off so that you can get a capture here before you lose too many people, like Kreia, who ends up going down, but Glitch and Copal have both been trading in the process. Zai with another Deadeye is looking to connect, and does so onto Dogfish. Hemorrhaging manpower. Kaiju corp clvr has to make something happen, but they don't have the resources to do it. This is a second point capture here for Tempest.
And you know what Double Shield hates? It hates trading. Double Shield, or even just Orisa D.Va, if you lose just one of those tanks, it's a nightmare. It can't function missing one of its tanks. Orisa can't function without a D.Va or a Sigma. D.Va, very hard to make function on her own. Dive doesn't care if it loses one of its tanks. It doesn't care if it loses one of its DPS. Trading is the kind of environment Dive wants to be in, and Typhoon Tempest have been pushing that to its full potential.
We'll have to see if they can trade here, because you did end up losing Kreia, who had the Barrage. So that's a pretty valuable pick to eliminate early in the fight, but the Nano is here to compensate. Yikes, tethering onto the backline and finding the zap, zap, zap onto JB Rocks, and connecting onto Copal as well. Without supports, the Double Shield doesn't have a foundation to stand on. Another Primal from Yikes, and Yikes is going ham in the backlines, looking to give chase to Felix, ultimately connecting onto Dogfish. That's 2 Primal kills from Yikes. This guy picked up his tech from Gujue. Barrage finding use as well in the spawn territory. Zai popping the Deadeye, but none of it is necessary. It's Yikes making waves of impact and tons of space to work with here for Tempest Typhoon. Yields, yields for them. All 3 objectives, albeit with 226 remaining in the bank. That's a handsome time bank to work with, but Zoe, I feel like on Escort, that is 50-50. Like, that's a lot of time, but might not be enough, especially against kaiju corp clvr.
On Escort, yes. On Rialto, no. On Rialto and Havana, if you cap in overtime on those maps, you're applauding, you're saying we did great.
Yep.
If we were talking about King's Row, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, it's a good time bank. It's definitely matchable. On Rialto, with how Typhoon Tempest looked, you gotta be sweating a bit if you're kaiju corp clvr. Can you keep running that brawl that worked so well for you? We're already seeing this double shield come out. I like this. Dive on the defense is a lot more shaky on all maps. Defense dive, certainly it can work. We've seen it work in many tournaments, but
I like it for Gibraltar.
It's good for Gibraltar. It's definitely good for Gibraltar, but Gibraltar is also a bit of an outlier there.
Yeah, as far as Escort maps go.
On this map, this gives you permanent control of this high ground for as long as you want it. However, Wrecking Ball on the other side, the displacement god himself. Let's see what Glitch can do with this.
We'll have to see. It's almost half of the disruption style composition. You still have the disruption tanks, but Copal is going to be looking to enable cannon, and JB is just basically going to be a nano ultimate battery, as well as being able to find triple taps onto any troublesome DPS. But Kreia, well, on the Torbjorn with the overload, might prove to be a little troublesome. Nice pull onto Glitch there. Thought that they were going to get out scot-free. Ultimately ends up sustaining quite a bit of damage. Cannon as well, trying to connect with damage, but honestly, if you end up hurting the shields, then that's totally fine. But look, the double shield composition, Tempest Typhoon have dropped to the low grounds here. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, you can't really hold the high ground against a Wrecking Ball. He's the one hero you can't hold it against, because we saw what happened when he came up last time. He came up, poked his head in, got out 3 cooldowns, and just left. Like, he didn't care. Yeah, he got stunned. Yeah, he got halted. He just left with half health. And look at JB's ult charge because of it.
Yeah, coming up on that Nano, that's going to be a win condition, maybe applied onto Cannon or Dogfish to help them get closer to the Bob themselves. It's going to be Copel starting off this fight with a Valkyrie, and the Nano will find its commitment, but it's going to be onto Glitch instead of any of the DPS heroes. A nice pile drive is going to reward Glitch with 95 to the minefield. That'll be helpful for creating space against Tempest's double shield composition, but they've lost Korea. That's a lot of damage here. Opening up the choke of the minefield is going to be Dogfish finding the eliminations here, and Tempest Typhoon, Kaiju Core Clover is looking good to take this objective. Zai has to commit the Bob in defense of the first point, but Dawn Super ends up going down to the minefields, and Cannon finds 2, then 3 with the barrage!
Yeah, I mean, they had to spend a lot of ults to do it, but if you get stuck, I'm sure we've all had it happen, if you get stuck under that arch the way Cannon was just getting stuck on that wall, sorry Cannon, I had to call you out for that, it can be brutal to take it. That can burn a solid 3 minutes off your time bank if you can even take it. And I mean, they've got some ults coming up. They've got Felix's self-destruct. But what we really want, what Tempest Typhoon really is playing for, they weren't playing for first point. They wanted to take time off the clock on first point. This is the point they want to hold. They want to hold this stairs and these high ground. Because how does Clover look to push across that bridge when they've got an Orisa, an Ashe, a Torbjorn, and a Baptiste firing down on them? There's no cover there.
Especially since you saw a pretty hefty commitment there from Tempest Typhoon as well. 3 ultimates really just to hold in a position that you might have been able to hold in anyways. For me, that looked like a little bit of an overcommit, but hey, a fight win is a fight win. And a stagger on a Copel, that's just icing on the cake.
Yeah, and like you say, a fight win is a fight win, and this is a fight that, for their game plan, Tempest needs to win. You see them set up where they want to be now. This is where Double Shield excels on this map, holding this high ground. And you can see Kaiju Core Clover, they've got their far in spamming for pick. The Wrecking Ball, that's going to knock off the high ground, and that's how you break this.
Yeah, that's a really nice disruption. You end up trading Panda Bear for JB Rocks Forever, but Copel has the revive to bring JB back into this engagement. For now, looks like Tempest is going to have to yield the high ground to take a fight that's a little more beneficial for them, but Kreia ends up dipping out a little too early there, finds themselves on the wrong ends of the cannons that are equipped by Felix here. However, you are still missing Glitch. You want Glitch to be the one to engage first here. Dogfish using the Bob possibly to disrupt the revive, but it's the window that's going to be used against that ultimate in particular. Dynamite going to be contributing to some value, but the value here is Cannon once again with a Nano and the barrage. It's finding a ton of impact here and a second point capture as well.
And this ult cycling from Clover has been beautiful. It's been beautiful. They've won fights off Nano Barrage, tank ult. Nano Barrage, tank ult. It's a beautiful ult cycling. It's how you have to play this. None of your ults, except maybe Barrage, are strong enough to win a fight on their own. You don't have a great nano target without that Barrage. So they've been cycling wonderfully, and it's yielding them these points, not to mention some big displacement from the ditch.
There's both tank ults committed as well, and it's really just going to be helpful in creating a little bit of space, but hey, the double shield comp is really good for taking that back. It's going to be the proximity mines all being eliminated here, not in the kill feed, but on the screen, and Glitch is going to have to find a new angle to disrupt here from. Cannon, however, finds Kreia's turret, which means the damage onto Glitch is going to be a little less impactful. Speaking of less impactful, the adaptive shield's not quite paying off. Glitch thinking that they were in the presence of Tempest. Ultimately not, however. No pile drive damage, no adaptive shields. That means a total reset here from Clover.
And we've seen some swap. We've seen the swap off the Mercy, which I'm not 100% on why they were running in the first place. It was probably for the Ashe, onto the Brig, and we've seen the Ashe traded in for a Cassidy. This is recognizing their win condition. This is recognizing how they've been losing fights. They've been losing it to Glitch.
Another early adaptive shield from Glitch.
Yeah. And they've been losing fights to Glitch, knocking knocking Zai or Don Soup or Dr. Brennan out of position, and then Kaiju Core Clover being able to dive on this. They're saying no more. We are going to stack CC. We're going to make Glitch's life a living hell. No more displacement for him.
There's a Flux. Look at that barrage! It's another nano barrage, and it finds 3. Despite the use of the Flux from Yikes, it doesn't find any eliminations. All the eliminations here, all the kills are coming in for Clover, and they're going to be able to capture all 3 objectives with, I think it's actually going to be an identical time bank here.
And Yikes kind of just abandoned his team there in favor of trying to get the big Flux. If you're ult tracking properly, you have to know that Pharah has the barrage. He goes forward, tries to get the Flux, and there's nothing to negate that Pharah ult. He's very wisely out of flashbang range. You can't rock, you can't kinetic grasp, you can't deploy that shield while you're doing Flux. That was a bit of a misstep from Yikes, or potentially a bit of a miscommunication from the team as a whole, because if your Sigma's going to go for that, you've got to run after him. Double Shield, not a comp that likes running. I mean, I can understand not liking running, but you've got to run after your Sigma, because I'm a little bit hung up on that Flux. I don't know how they were planning to follow up on it, and I don't know how they were planning to negate that Pharah.
It was definitely it was definitely a really good play from JB Rocks and Cannon in particular, identifying that as a moment of opportunity, if you will. Really, it's a combination of both. I'd love to hear what the comms sounded like, because you know that Cannon or JB Rocks said they're going for the Flux. Now's the time. Nano me or Cannon, get in position. I've got Nano for you. That kind of dialogue between the support and the DPS players in organized Overwatch, that is so much fun to be a part of and to listen to.
This Kreia Kreia, yes, thank you, brain, is interesting to me, because it's kind of another anti-Wrecking Ball thing, but it's also anti-Pharah. You hack Pharah, she drops like a rock. There's nothing she can really do. And that takes some pressure off Yikes, and we saw Yikes maybe getting a little bit overwhelmed with having to shield off Dogfish, take care of Cannon. And so I do like this. It adds a generalized counter to at least 3 or 4 members on the side of Kaiju Core clvr. Not to mention, EMP is a huge win condition.
Yeah, and you've already gotten a lot of ultimate charge from that first engagement, as well as you saw Felix end up overextending just a little bit. Not quite overextension, but extending to make sure that Glitch didn't die out of that fight. Kreia still working on that EMP as the power drop comes in from Glitch, and the hack finds itself onto them as well. Felix Felicis now lacking armor, isn't able to frontline, but that's okay. Not much to frontline against, because there have been 2 picks on the side of the Tempest Typhoon. Here's the EMP from Kreia. It finds 3 and ends up eliminating or contributing to the elimination of JB Rocks. Lacking the main support, that's not too bad, because you've still got the revive from Copel to bring them back in. You're not missing much, except now you've lost Cannon. That's okay. 90% to the barrage. You were going to use that in this next fight. Now instead you'll have to use the Nano.
I wonder who was calling winnable there for Kreia to use that EMP. Because that wasn't a winnable fight. They were 4v6. There's not really a word where
nice Deadeye.
Lord.
Yeah, Zai in the backline looking to find the 2-tap onto Cannon as well, ultimately eliminated by Felix Felicis, getting right in the face of the Cowboy there, and then peppering them down. Doesn't matter, you still need to see a reset from Kaiju Core clvr, but there's 13 seconds remaining.
And as much as I talked about that EMP, it was very nicely done of them to win that follow-up fight. Zai finds a cheeky little angle they're not paying attention to. Someone broke Kreia's translocator. This is bad.
Yeah, Kreia's going to end up being eliminated here by Felix, but... Oh no, that's unfortunate. You still had picks. You still had picks that were coming in favor of Tempest because of the use of the supercharger there. I think that you were still playing into a difficult fight. Ultimately, it looks like there was a little bit of maybe an over-focus there onto Kreia, thinking that they were closer to EMP than they actually were. Meanwhile, you were sitting on a couple of ultimates yourself if you were Kaiju Core clvr. That's okay, though. To me, I feel like the 2-minute full hold for Kaiju Core clvr should be a relatively straightforward endeavor.
It's doable, but they need to either figure out how to make this rush work into the dive we saw against Typhoon Tempest, or they need to show me something completely different. Both, I think, are possible. They are going to run it back, but with a Pharah this time. I like this. Dive doesn't have a ton of answers for Pharah. Your 2 answers are Pharah duel or pulling back Zai to deal with it. You don't want to have Zai having to fall back out of the frontline fight to deal with it. So this could end up being decided by a couple of Pharah duels, if I'm honest.
Yeah, quite possibly, as well as Dogfish on the support there. I mean, not on the support role, but supporting Cannon and their damage dealing endeavors as Ashe. It's that hit scan to dissuade Kreia from going as aggressive.
Now, there is always that second option of just say, screw the enemy Pharah, we don't care, we're just having everyone...
ignore it.
Yeah, just ignore it. Collapse on their front line, kill JB Rocks, kill Felix, kill Glitch, turn around to deal with the Pharah. It can work, but you've got to do it so quickly, because otherwise that Pharah is just going to get a free barrage. And even if they're fighting from 0 ult charge.
Yeah. Kreia looked a little overeager to disengage from that fight, really sensitive to taking damage, which is generally good to see, but, you know, they managed to make a couple of connections onto Cannon there. There's another one. Ooh, it's going to be Zai finding that final blow as well, but that's a huge threat that's been eliminated. Zai, however, is traded in the meantime, and we're going to see the revive find use from someone. It's not going to be Copel, because they've been taken out by Kreia as well. Kreia dominating the skies here is going to force a reset from clvr.
Copel had to try for it. He had to.
Yeah.
They got Zai off the high ground. He immediately went for it. It was the correct play. Yikes, and Panda Bear just noticed it and immediately shut it down, though. Not much you can do there if you're Copel. But I want to talk about, I know Kaiju Core clvr isn't running an Ana right now, but they have been. The anti-nades from both these teams have been picture perfect and it's been winning fights.
Ooh, nice immortality field, talking about good support utility usage. Helps Glitch stay alive a little bit longer there, and they have the Shatter to work with as well. They ultimately Primal Raged off the map there by Yikes, coming through with this amazing Primal Tech. It's going to be the follow-up from Kreia that might close out this fight with the Barrage, but Zai's been eliminated once again. Only damage dealer now on the front lines for Tempest is Kreia, but with the Nano Boost, your point presence is magnified here, and with the anti-nade from Dawn Super, finding its final blow onto Copel there, there's going to be no support here remaining for Kaiju Core clvr. They're going to drop the second map.
That was exactly what I wanted to see from Typhoon Tempest. It was picture perfect what I asked them to do. They didn't run Rush. They didn't run. Yeah, they didn't run the Rush mirror. They never played Rush. They ran a perfect dive. Their dive was a thing of beauty, as we see this wonderful call here from Cannon to go for this barrage, or possibly JD Rocks. It's hard to know without hearing their comms, but you know, as much as Tempest Typhoon, sorry, I think I've been saying the name backwards. My bad, Tempest Typhoon. As much as their dive did look beautiful against that rush, their double shield was very effectively picked apart by the side of Kaiju Core clvr. Now, thinking about next maps, there's one map I'm thinking about, Ethan, and it's Scrims Row. I want Kaiju Core clvr to take us to Scrims Row, because that's the rush map. That's what we've got at this point. You know, you take us to Temple of Anubis. You can run double shield. You can run dive. You take us to any of our soul maps, Hanamura, Volskaya, you can run double shield. You take us to Blizzard World, you can run dive. Hollywood, dive can be run. Dorado, Havana, Rialto. We just played Rialto. Ignore me. Don't erase that from your memory. I didn't say it. But between Blizzard World, Hollywood, and Kings Row, as the team that dominated in the Rush Mirror and then had no answers for a dive comp, I don't see how you don't pick Kings Row.
It's definitely a map a little more tailored toward the strengths of Kaiju Core clvr. We're going to get to see their synergy in action when we come back from a short break. Don't go anywhere, because we aren't. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Bye.
Entering King's Row. Initiating match.
Welcome back, everybody, and we're going to be jumping right back into the action here in a few moments. It's been a nice series so far. Lots of big moments from both these teams in the matchup against or between Tempest Typhoon and Kaiju clvr.
Yeah, and look at the map we're going to, Ethan. I said it, King's Row. I think this favors Clover in the extreme. Dive is possible on this map, but this has been Rush Mirror since the dawn of Overwatch. I don't know if I'd rather see Typhoon Tempest, Tempest Typhoon. I got that backwards again. Gosh darn it! I don't know if I'd rather see Tempest Typhoon stick with that dive that was working so well for them, or if I'd like to see them mirror Rush on a map that just favors Rush so much.
So interesting that you say this. I'm going to keep this really short, actually, if possible. I think that running the Rush mirror on a map like Lijiang Tower, I feel like might be complicated for a team that maybe Rush isn't quite in their playstyle. But I feel like in the same way that King's Row plays to the strengths of Kaiju clvr, I feel like it will as well if we want to see the Rush composition run by Tempest Typhoon, which we are. I feel like it still plays to the strengths of the composition itself, if not necessarily the team. So at this point, I think that both teams are kind of operating off of a crutch here.
Definitely possible, yeah. It is like you said, and we've talked about it a lot of times. Control is a strange map, so seeing the Rush mirror here could definitely favor Typhoon a bit more in a bit of a more normalized map style. And they've also had that break to talk about what went wrong. And maybe we see a much cleaner Rush. Maybe we see Tempest Typhoon go up 2-1.
I'd like to see this whole series go 2-2 and get all the way to the very end. It's going to be really interesting to see the difference in styles, because Rush composition, there's a way to run it, but there are still some variances that you can make. It's an early Mei wall from Cannon that might spell doom here, however, for Tempest Typhoon. I'm sorry, for Kaiju clvr going on the attack first. They still find the freeze onto Yikes, whose barrier is suffering, but there hasn't really been too much except for Immortality Fields exchanged here, and now it's another ice wall that's separating, isolating the members of Tempest Typhoon. Still waiting on first blood, finally shed by Dogfish onto Zai. The defense suffering, however, in the commitment of a shatter, it looks like Kaiju clvr is going to come out on top of this engagement.
That was a 5-man shatter. Wow, yeah. As Kaiju clvr here, I wasn't very impressed with either Mei wall to start. Cannon used his, but it was pretty simple for Yikes to slip around it. And then Kreia used his defensively. In a Rush v Rush mirror, I don't like seeing Mei walls used defensively at all. They're there for picks. Like, there are two ways in Rush v Rush you get picks. And one of them is apparently glitch charging into your entire team. Not what I was going to say, though. The two ways are you amp speed into people, or you may wall someone off. Those are your two big tools to get picks, and for Kreia to deploy it defensively, I don't know. I'm not sold on it.
Well, you had the amplification matrix expended by Dr. Brennan there, and a wall to slow down the impending kaiju core clover, but it's going to be resolved quickly by the high noon. Ooh, brilliant eat there from Panda Bear, I think, who prevented that from finding value. It's going to be Immortality Field, and the Shatter cancels the remech from Felix there. That means they're going to have to actually work for their mech after yeeting the self-destruct out there. Glitch going on the offensive as the Blizzard finds its commitment there from Cannon, and is going to reward kaiju core clover with some picks.
And yes, Kaiju Core Clover, Felix had her remech canceled, but Clover just won the poke war so hard. If you saw when Cannon threw his Blizzard out, I don't know if there was a player on Typhoon Tempest above 20% HP. If you're losing the poke war that hard, that's really concerning.
Yeah, and you're about to lose the second objective there as well. Glitch it doesn't really care about the Mei wall there, and just jumps over it. But look at the shatter from Yikes! Despite the presence of the amplification matrix, Yikes is undaunted and pushes into the midline of Kaiju Core Clover, effectively stopping the cart in its tracks.
That's 3 big shatters out of 3 between these two teams. We have a classic Rhine bout for the ages here. This is something you will tell Super and your children about.
We'll have to see. Felix is coming up on the self-destruct, though, too.
Definitely, that could be big.
I've seen Felix with these bombs. It's absolutely insane how she's able to consistently find value with them.
I am also interested to see in how Dr. Brennan deploys her Amp Matrix. That's another ult that, if used at the exact right moment, could just delete someone before they have a chance to react.
Love to see the Mei wall here from Kreia is a little bit early, but so too is the Immortality Field, I think in response to the window that was deployed by Dr. Brennan. It's going to force Kaiju Core Clover, I think, to rotate towards main. They might try to actually maintain their presence in this angle because, again, you do have the self-destruct to work with. It's going to be the Deadeye and another wall zoning them out, however. Glitch went on the offensive maybe a little bit too soon, but Zai ends up with a flash in the back and some bullets in the brain as well. This is going to, the picks coming in through, however, for Tempest Typhoon, as well as another shatter from Yikes, means that this is a fight win for Tempest and a reset for Kaiju Core Clover.
These Rhines could not get less than a 3-man shatter if you paid them to. Good lord. Dogfish, though, always seems to be caught off guard by these flanks from Zai. I feel like after it's happened 3 or 4 times, or sorry, other way around, Zai keeps getting caught off guard by these flanks from Dogfish. I feel like it's happened 3 or 4 times. You better start being ready for it. I mean, this has been Dogfish's entire game so far as the self-destruct is out from Felix.
And it's going to connect to shields and Mei walls, but that's okay because we've got a couple of more utilities to expend, mainly the Immortality Field in presence of Kreia's Blizzard, and another Shatter as well from Glitch. It looks like it isn't going to connect as efficiently, and they end up losing their life to Yikes as well. But there are still members here of Kaiju Core remaining off the back of Cannon's Blizzard. They might be able to find success here. However, you got to beware because the supports are under pressure from the bomb and from Cannon, and from Kreia as well. They were taken out of the fight, but so too is Panda Bear from Mech, and there's Yikes delivering another Earth Shatter here onto the remnants of Clover. This has to be a reset for them.
Yeah, I know that wasn't a traditionally huge shatter, but it was very important to get JB out, get him back to spawn. If you don't kill JB there, the second Glitch is back, they're going again. And you need time to get your players back. I don't mind that ultimate commitment from Cannon. It was definitely turnable, especially if they'd been able to catch Dr. Brennan. And Copel, she went off, but unfortunately had nowhere to go with that self-destruct.
Nice drop of the sound barrier from Don Super ends up helping Zai stay alive in the midst of the Deadeye, as well as the window that we saw JB Rocks use there. Didn't find any assists, and they're going to be able to avoid elimination there with the Exo Boots. Cannon and Dogfish both out of the fight by Zai. Brilliant picks from the Cole Cassidy player here for Tempest Typhoon, and they wrap up the fight for them. Look at this, 45 seconds in the bank remaining, and Kaiju Core Clover needs to work something out here.
And Tempest has just set Yikes free to do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Yikes has been the hard carry of this point. Not trying to say the rest of Typhoon Tempest has been bad. They've all been very good on the side of Tempest Typhoon, but Yikes has just been... I mean, he's been crazy.
Yeah, as well as Zai. And look at Zai looking for the off angle. There's Cannon taken out, and that's one of the quickest fights we've had so far in this entire series. Resolved rapidly by Yikes and their presence on the front lines, as well as, again, you saw Zai briefly there, kind of creeping up on that off angle. There's no opportunity to touch here for kaiju corp clvr. They're going to have to make a street space hold.
Everyone on the side of kaiju corp clvr hit the ground. Cannon didn't get the chance to because he just exploded. Oh my lord, that was a masterclass of how to defend point B from Yikes. That was incredible. Wow.
Really? Yeah, really good stuff from Tempest. And as well, you saw at the end there, a 25-player kill streak there for Yikes. That means that despite playing main tank, they hadn't died before they eliminated 25 people. Or rather, they hadn't died since eliminating 25 people. So really, really good stuff. My deaths per 10 on Reinhardt is like 10 or 12 at this point. So it's amazing to see Yikes maintaining a more reasonable number.
I want to see what his Earth Shatter stunts to kill ratio is, because oh my lord, have Tempest done such an incredible job of following up on the big slams Yikes has hit. His lowest lane was one man, and even then it was onto JB Rocks to force a big stagger. It made sense. Other than that, it's been 3, 4, 5, 6 with a kill. It's been incredible. It's been fight winning. It's been map defining Yikes Reinhardt play.
Meanwhile, on the side of kaiju corp clvr, I think that Don Super with the sound barriers has been really consistent as well. And honestly, I'm kind of wondering if I'm seeing the same from Copel. I feel like both of them are doing really well in the support line. And really, you play Lucio for the speed, not so much anything else. But still feel like I'd like to see Copel and their sound barriers really get some meaning here. As we get a defensive first point fight, actually in an aggressive position, Cannon's going to have to be careful about their use of the Mei wall here, as the high ground is maintained by Tempest Typhoon. You're going to see them rotate around the backside of the point. Are they going to be met here by kaiju corp clvr? Yeah, looking like we're going to see the rush take place on the high ground, or maybe just on the objective. But Mild, before yielding a tick of progress because of the ice wall. White, nice immortality field, is going to mitigate the follow-up onto the freeze there, but it gets quickly destroyed. Dogfish ultimately finding themselves on the wrong side of the hammer, and both Mei walls deployed. Both teams vying for space, but it's Yikes with another shatter!
Yikes! Yikes! What else can you say other than yikes? I mean, kaiju corp over there. Yeah, or Sheesh works pretty well too. Kaiju corp clvr just lost track of the rotation there. And by the time they realized, they were coming out of a tiny doorway into a tiny corridor, into a hammer and a Mei. And that's just not a good time. Yikes finds himself isolated now, though.
Yeah, and off the back of the amplification matrix, kaiju corp clvr might be able to stabilize here around this choke point. A brilliant place to hold as well.
It is. This is one of the best places to hold on this map. Is this little arch right here. It's...
Look at them. They're going so aggressive, too. Cannon goes down, though, as a result.
Can they finally stop Yikes' reign of terror, is my question. They've ended his kill streak, finally. He just blocks Glitch's shatter, though.
Yeah, and Zai goes for the Deadeye, ends up connecting to a shield, but that means Glitch has fewer resources to work with, especially as Kreia goes for the Blizzard. Immortality Field ends up deployed, but again, these higher level teams, they know to destroy that lamp, and means a team fight win here for Tempest. 4.5 minutes remaining in the time bank, not too far to push, too. If I'm kaiju corp clvr, I'm sweating just a little.
Just a little. This is supposed to be your map. This is your map pick, which favors your style. This is kind of concerning, because I don't know what else they have in the bank. Their double shield looked fine, but I don't know.
You are coming up in the last teamfight territory there here for kaiju corp clvr. It kind of prevented from peeking this angle as aggressively because of the window, but it's not going to stop. It's not going to stop Felix from throwing the bomb, and self-destruct present there from Panda as well, who ends up frozen. Cannon's Blizzard finding meaningful value, but it's going to be Yikes coming back in with another shatter. Glitch has theirs as well, but are they going to be able to connect it? Amplification Matrix committed by JV Rocks, and it's going to elicit the sound barrier as well from Don Super, meaning that it's winnable. trouble here for both sides, but Yikes is still swinging in front of the Amp Matrix, and there's nothing that they can do to mitigate it. The beat was there, but nothing else remaining here for Tempest Typhoon. This is going to be the first stabilization here for Clover.
I know Tempest Typhoon lost
we got a pause.
that fight. Oh, we have a pause. I know Tempest Typhoon lost that fight, but we are witnessing Yikes' ascension to godhood on this map. This man is insane with his shatters. Apparently, we are having some tech issues on the side of Kaiju Core Clover, so we might take a minute to get back into game. But one other thing I want to talk about is the May play. Cannon has just switched over to this Junkrat, and it feels like he's been blizzarding second a lot of times. I know a lot of ults you want to use second. You want to use your support ult second. A lot of times you want to use your tank ult second. Blizzard you want to use first, and Kreia has been using the Blizzard first, and it's been winning Typhoon Tempest's fights.
And it looks like, yeah, while they get that resolved, it's interesting that you mentioned the switch from Cannon from May onto the Junkrat, because at one point I was kind of wondering, I'm like, at what point do you forego the rush composition? By no means is it the only comp. Are these the only 6 heroes that you can play on this particular map? Now, typically against a rush comp, the one of the paths of least resistance is going to be mirroring that style of composition, as long as you can come out on top with it. Right now, Kaiju Core Clover finding that perhaps it's the use of a different identity, a different variant of that rush style comp that will benefit them here as they hold a tenuous position on Streets phase of King's Row. They are in danger of losing this map after an unfortunate paltry push of Streets phase and not being able to capture the second objective. We'll have to see how this map resolves heading back in from the pause.
It's not unholdable for Kaiju Core Clover. That's the upside. These are some nice corners to hold. They've got the Shatter. They've got the Deadeye. Yikes doesn't have another Shatter yet. It's holdable.
Glitch is looking for the opportunity to shatter, though they ended up backing off briefly, and high noons coming out from both sides. Zai ultimately with a better angle there, and finding Glitch in the process. So unfortunate for Kaiju Core Clover, because that is the beginning of the end here. Glitch going down while having the shatter. It might have been able to land it right then and there, but now possibly not at all, as Zai and Yikes both light up the kill feed. Zai looking for JB Rocks Forever on the high ground of eliminating Copal, and soon JB as well. That's going to be no supports remaining here as Glitch and Felix look to reconnect. They're going to be the only ones who can possibly stall. Glitch has to use the Shatter, but ends up getting blocked off by the May wall. There's Glitch in the Shatter. They end up being able to use it, but they end up getting pinned off the map by Yikes. A little bit of a display of ego here from the main tank player for Tempest Typhoon as the wall comes up and shields Tempest in their victory of King's Row. This puts them in match point territory. We're possibly only playing one more map.
Yikes just said at the end there, the only man who can stop me is myself. What a map from Yikes. If he keeps playing like this, I think we definitely didn't talk enough about his Winston, but he just hit a 6-man Shatter right in front of your eyes. What am I supposed to say? You can see it. This guy was cracked on this map.
A fantastic display of coordination and synergy from both of these teams, understandably so, on that particular map. Our next map type is really going to be the test of coordination and synergy as we head into our assault game mode. And let's take a look at the maps. I think that the maps that we can pick from are the maps that are just currently in the competitive pool, because two of them are unplayable. You'll have Hanamura, Temple of Anubis, and Volskaya.
I think Kaiju Core Clover takes us to Temple of Anubis. It's the best rush map. You can run rush on Hanamura. It's okay. You can run rush on Volskaya Industries. It's okay. Both those maps, there's better comms. Both those maps, you prefer double shield. Temple of Anubis, rush and double shield, at least for point A, about even. But my big concern here for Kaiju Core Clover, all three of these maps are good for dive. And Tempest Typhoon's dive, it's been scary. It was scary on that Rialto map. So it'll be interesting to see if Kaiju Core Clover has answers for that dive, which I see almost no way it doesn't come out no matter which map we're going to.
I'd almost like to see us head to Volskaya, or really any of these maps are good. I think between the three, Temple of Anubis and Volskaya would be my picks for clvr, so that we've got a little bit of leniency to run the disruption style tanks that we saw very
Sure.
briefly there on Rialto. I think that kaiju core clvr definitely not a one trick pony by any means. They like the rush composition. They favor those Rhine diva comps, mainly because Felix Felicis is a diva specialist himself. So I would, I'd like to see some of these other compositions that enable that kind of gameplay. And honestly, we saw this also briefly on the defense of Rialto, that Orisa diva, the classic defense combination,
Yeah.
defense comp, as I call it. I'd like to see that emerge as well, possibly in lieu of a double shield in defense of Volskaya Industries. A possibility that we take to Hanamura. Those wide open spaces tend to be pretty good for the diva bombs, especially if you're trying to stall out one of these objectives. The fact is that you could find that kind of value on any of these three maps, depending on kind of the point that you're playing for. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited to see what clvr picks here.
I think we've got a lot of potential to see a lot of different comps. What I expect is Kaiju Core clvr is going to run a rush defense and a disruption offense. That would be my expectation. That's what they look strongest on throughout the series. Now, Tempest Typhoon, on the other hand, I expect them to run a dive offense and a double shield defense. I expect it to look very similar to what we saw on I've lost the name, Rialto.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going to be going to Volskaya. Volskaya is a very
Nice.
interesting map because it has high grounds wrapped all the way around the point, and then a mega pack. It's not the bunker. We all know the bunker is the other bit, but a fortified mega pack room. Do we see the Zenyatta? Zenyatta can be really good on this map.
I'd like to see some Zen as a Zen player myself, but that's a bias that I'll never be able to drop. You guys can see the scores there as well. Again, Tempest is leading this series. Now it is only 2-1 right now, but heading into Volskaya, they're looking to make it a 3-1 and close out this series relatively quickly. You guys see it as well. We could go to all 7 maps. Unfortunately, Tempest doesn't quite want us to do that here on the broadcast. So at least for now, it's going to be Volskaya Industries, possibly our last map, unless Kaiju Core clvr can make something happen. And again, as you mentioned, the Zenyatta seeing play here. Some of my earliest memories of Overwatch are playing Zenyatta in Season 3 during dive composition on Volskaya Industries. And honestly, some of my most recent memories include playing him in the context of a disruption-style composition with a Brigida at my side. So to see this look from Kaiju Core clvr, I won't complain about that. A lot of their strategies aren't necessarily by the book, but there are elements of them that are very conventional to me. So to opt for some conventional strategies for Volskaya, or specifically for Volskaya, heading into this map, I would love to see that from clvr.
And as you can see from our entering point of view, you've got the big high ground that everyone plays on when you run Bastion, because when right to
Don't
the
tell
left
me we're
of
going
your
to see a
screen,
Bastion here.
I don't think we see a Bastion. I think both of these teams are adept enough at Overwatch that a Bastion is a bad idea. Right in the center of the screen, bottom center, you can see that Mega Pack room. That is the fortified point if you're playing Double Shield. That's where you want to set up, in that Mega Pack room, because you've got the Mega Pack, you've got easy access to high ground, it's hard to flank, and we already see the side of Tempest Typhoon, gosh darn it, rushing straight to point, presumably to go there. Now, I know, as a Plat Papega, I will say it, I'm a Plat Papega. We Plat Papegas love to hold the choke by the truck. That's not where you're supposed to hold on this map. You hold either this high ground where Tempest Typhoon is going, or you hold directly below where we see Kreia right now in that Mega Pack room. And we do
the
see
left corridor, as I call it, yeah.
We do see the zombie comp from Kaiju Core clvr. Very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. Cannon doing some early scouting there as well. You saw Cannon come back to the team and be like, "All right, this is my full report here," and it looks like that means putting Dogfish onto the Soldier 76, so you can actually contest at range, especially since you've got Kreia on the Torbjorn here.
Soldier 76, bit of an underrated DPS. He's gotten buffed quite a bit recently and become quite a bit more playable than he used to be. I mean, it used to be that, you would always play either Cassidy or Widow over him, but now he's got nice self-sustain. He's got that burst damage from the Helix rockets, and he's got some actually pretty terrifying damage with that heavy pulse rifle.
Yeah, especially since being buffed with a perfect precision there. For now, it's a little bit of a struggle for kaiju corp clvr to really find the angle that they want to engage from. They were kind of waiting on Glitch to be full HP, but and I mean now you're gonna have to wait a little bit longer because Glitch is 0 HP, sent back to spawn by an environmental whip shot from Don Super. I was a little bit curious about putting Brig in the context of a double shield comp, but it seems that I have no need to be concerned. Yikes following up on that play with the double kill, first on Cannon, then on to Dogfish. Without DPS, there's no way to push, no way to disrupt, and that means a reset from clvr.
And they're gonna go over to the Echo.
Look at this dumb roll.
Yeah, that's very silly. I don't know why they gave him that. They're gonna go over to the Pharah. I don't know how to feel about this. There's a lot of things to do with the Pharah. You got the turret, you got the Hulk, you've got the Cassidy, you've got the Baptiste. But if they can manage to force this Wrecking Ball and Diva to take a lot of attention, as that boop from the Concussive Blast, very big.
What are these adaptive shields? That's a little unfortunate for Glitch to lose such a powerful cooldown. Talking about powerful cooldowns, there's the Deadeye. It secures Copal out of the fight. The Immortality Field did come out from Dr. Brennan, but you might not need it for the rest of this fight. It's Dogfish peppering Dr. Brennan down from the high ground, means that they yield that space, but Double Shield's plenty of space to play around. Tactical Visor finds its commitment. It's going to connect to a lot of barrier, though. It looks like Kreia and Don Super were both able to hide. Yikes, unfortunately not being able to have that same fate. Kreia yoinks the Mega, though, and Dogfish finds himself on the bad end of a Brig, shield, and a bash there, but you are still going to have kaiju corp clvr committing here. Don Super finds themselves out of the fight, and Kreia has committed the Molten Core, but it looks like it's not going to be for any avail. Kaiju corp clvr, after a kind of mismatched trade back and forth kind of fight, they do find this first objective.
And what won that fight for kaiju corp clvr more than anything is respawn advantage. They traded like 2-1, 1-1, back and forth a whole bunch, but their players just get back faster, both because of the comp they're running and just because of how close their spawn is. They do need to remember to cap point A. Good job, kaiju corp clvr. You remembered that. I have forgotten that a couple times, so it's always embarrassing when that happens. But this Pharah, she excels in broken down fights like we saw at the end there, and using the distraction, the chaos of that broken down fight, Cannon's almost got himself a barrage.
Glitch unfortunately misses a pile drive. Once again, adaptive shield just a little bit too early. This might mean a delay in the engagement from kaiju corp clvr, but I don't anticipate that. Oh, yeah, no, I do, because Glitch, look at that, a health pool. They're so low, and they have to anchor back to the support line, but they are looking to minefield the objective. Unfortunately, finding themselves stunned as the barrage from Cannon rains down to the high ground, most of it getting eaten by Panda Bear, but the minefield from Glitch is coming in clutch. Also clutch is the Flux from Yikes on the high ground. However, minefield already doing a lot of work here, and then the destructive power of the disruption comp from kaiju corp clvr really meeting value with a self-destruct kill onto Panda Bear. However, Immortality Field in all of its glory, in all of its brokenness, helps to prevent an elimination there onto Zai, still equipped with the Deadeye. Kreia on the Doomfist looking to stall as the point capture progress has ramped up considerably. Ultimately, in the face of a tactical visor from Dogfish, it's still looking like a weaker and weaker push here as the fight drones on for kaiju corp clvr. On the off angle, Dogfish is eliminated from the fight, and Glitch is just going to have to find the reset because look, they're just an old battery now, so they're going to be resetting in spawn.
Immortality Field is called bailout button for a reason. You get caught out, your Baptiste presses E, bailout button. It was really well used though, as much as I mean by it.
Yeah. Zai should have died there.
She's been making great use of this this Immortality Field. Kreia not going back to swap off this Doomfist is interesting. I suppose you can hunt down this Ana pretty effectively, and if the side of kaiju corp clvr loses this Ana, they're in some trouble. But we'll see what kind of value you can get out of it ultimately.
I mean, Doomfist is also just a really great answer to Wrecking Ball. There ain't an ability that Doomfist has that can't cancel an ability that Wrecking Ball has. Dr. Brennan, under heavy fire, has to dip out, but also dipping out is Dogfish, punched out of the fight, and this might mean, this definitely means a reset here for kaiju corp clvr, but they're committing, despite being eliminated. JB Rocks has already committed the Nano onto Cannon, possibly a miscommunication, as we see a disengagement, albeit 99 to Barrage.
Panda Bear threw out the self-destruct too.
Oh no, you press shift, no.
And Panda Bear threw, oh no, wait, sorry, Panda Bear's, I am silly, don't worry about me and my not knowing which side players' teams are on. That Nano, hey. That was a bit of a poor call from whoever made that to commit that. Not saying that I don't trust Cannon to get things like that done, but that was 3v6. Just hold the ult. You've got another fight at least.
Oh, beautiful eat there from Felix as well. You know, running up in the face of a dead-eyeing McCree is a little bit terrifying, but Felix does not even hesitate there. It's gonna be Zai now under pressure, but Kreia looking to accomplish things with the Doomfist, and they do. Felix is out of mech, having to deploy the bomb and losing their lives in the process. However, Yikes has been traded in the front lines as the Amplification Matrix is deployed by Dr. Brennan. You also have Dawn Super equipped with Sound Barrier if we need it. Immortality Field is about to dissipate, and so too are the hopes of kaiju corp clvr of making this into a successful capture. However, Cannon looking to strike back, ultimately not able to. It's going to be the beat dropping and Tempest stabilizing.
They had nothing. Their best contest on the far at the end there was a Baby Diva. I do question the target focus onto that Baby Diva instead of the Lucio, though. If you're tracking ults right, you should know that Lucio's very close to Sound Barrier.
Oh, Zai's eliminated, though, and so is JB Rocks forever. Kreia finding lots of value on this Doomfist pick. I actually don't mind the fact that they've stayed on it, even though as a Zen player, I should be a natural enemy of Doomfist and of the people who play him. However, Tempest is really finding Kreia to be working here, and Dogfish is asking themselves, how on earth does that pin? Meanwhile, Yikes is saying, yeah, this is perfectly balanced and appropriate Rhyme tech. What this means as the hammer swings onto Copel is that it's going to be almost the end of the round. But Glitch is able to contest. You have Zai picking out JB. Oh, to let JB play the game. Zai with the Death Eye preventing any touch from kaiju corp clvr, any additional point progress. But look, it's not lost quite yet for clvr. They still managed to get 51% of progress.
You know what? I'm sorry, Glitch. I'm going to say it. Please don't play Wrecking Ball anymore. You don't look comfortable on it. Your adaptive shield timings need work. Perhaps next week, kaiju corp clvr can come back, run this crazy disruption comp, wow all of us, but it's not happening this week. The Wrecking Ball play, the grapples have been good, the pile drivers have been okay. The adaptive shield timings have been poor. That's all there is to say about it. I mean, it's... Sometimes I feel like as Overwatch players, we get enamored with the right pick. Wrecking Ball is certainly the right pick here, or at least when he picked it. But is it the right pick for kaiju corp clvr? I don't think it was. I honestly would have rather seen them do what they're doing now and put Glitch on a Winston and just have them play a Winston dive rather than a Wrecking Ball disruption comp. Definitely, it doesn't counter the double shield as well as a disruption comp does. But Glitch just hasn't looked comfortable on that Wrecking Ball, and hopefully his Winston's going to look a lot cleaner, a lot more comfortable, a lot more powerful.
Say we're in an era where of Overwatch where playing any main tank isn't ever going to look comfortable. The amount of damage in this game is just so immense. But a Glitch on the Winston for a dive defense, really just what Glitch ever looks to accomplish is, again, enabling Felix on this Diva role. As a Diva specialist, a lot of the compositions, a lot of the strategies are going to be bending around that. It's going to be Glitch engaging onto the teleport there to make sure that there's no opportunity to disengage from this for Tempest, but they're looking to ever disengage, and unfortunately Cannon goes down, so that means the engagement is going to be really strong here from Tempest. Already at a man advantage. An aggressive dive onto Dogfish is going to be met with their elimination. Kreia finding that final blow and looking for more onto the Mercy. Copel going down, and look at Felix lacking the armor HP and the sustain on the objective. Unfortunately for kaiju corp clvr, they're going to have the infamous 6-minute hold.
Yeah, it feels like there was a bit of a confused call there. Like, they saw the TP. They knew the TP was coming. And Cannon says, okay, I'm going to go into it. I'm going to fight for the high ground. The rest of the team says, okay, we're going to pull back. We're going to give them the high ground. We're going to play on bunker. And Cannon is suddenly caught behind the big building. No way Copel or JB Rocks can get to him. And he's just sitting there like, well, I'm just watching my HP fade, and then just dies.
It's yeah, a little unfortunate there for Cannon, but they're still looking to put in work here on the Echo, and they're going to be enabled by Copel there. It's Kreia, unfortunately, doesn't quite land the concussion blast there, but they have the barrage, and Yikes has the Nano to really make things happen, as well as the Primal. They are going to pop it as the Valkyrie, as the Nano was used by JP Rocks, but it's ultimately Yikes disrupting and throwing members of Kaiju Core Clover around on the objective. Felix has to compensate with their presence. Things are stabilizable here for Kaiju Core Clover, but look, out of defense matrix and out of manpower as well, as Yikes finds more and more eliminations. Things look pretty harrowing there for Kaiju, but they do manage to come out unscathed.
And Felix has been a superstar. She's been a superstar for Kaiju Core Clover all series long. Her defense matrix timings are impeccable. Her self-destruct usage is unquestionable. It's been a thing of beauty to watch as an authentic player myself. Panda Bear on the other side, a bit less noticeable because they're having to play with Yikes, and Yikes has been the story for Tempest Typhoon. But these divas have been great in their own right.
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, Tempest loses Yikes, and Dr. Brennan gets disrupted during the revive. Nice primal from Glitch. Losing 2 members means that this is no longer this won't ever become a successful push for Tempest.
Nope. There was a nice anti-nade hit there from Don
from
Super.
JB? Oh, yeah.
Well, from JB as well, yes. Both these Anas have been hitting very good Bionade since Rialto, since they first played them. But they tried to engage on that anti-nade from the side of JB, or from the side of Dawn, and they kind of just got themselves caught out by Cannon. Now we see both sides go to a rush comp. I don't know how this fares after what we just saw in Kings Row. They do have this Echo, which could definitely throw a wrench into the plans of Tempest Typhoon, though.
So sad to see Stickies get eaten by I can't find my words right now, but by good Diva players. Copel is unfortunately it got kind of isolated by the rotation, and Kreia is finding eliminations as well. So things are looking really unsustainable here. Look at the picks here against Kaiju Core Clover and the freeze, the group freeze, which is still somehow in this game, contributing towards JB Rock's elimination. As Felix Felices goes down, so too do the hopes of Kaiju Core Clover. But look, the double kill on the bomb means that things are stabilizable. Dogfish on the Tracer. It's going to be stall composition now that Kaiju Core Clover has to run for. But Glitch is sustaining so much damage. Baptiste just does too much, and so does Dr. Brennan. There's the Shatter onto Cannon. There's no opportunity to touch. JB Rock's eliminated by the High Noon here from Zion. The Flash finds its value. Unfortunately, out of mech, Felix isn't going to be able to stay on the objective. Who's going to be next to touch? It has to be Dogfish on Tracer, but they had to recall. And this series, the first matchup between Tempest Typhoon and Kaiju Core Clover, which will invariably see a rematch very soon here in the Hyperion Open Cup, goes to Tempest.
I mean, mark my words, this is a future playoff match. If the bracket lines up right, I mean, we could see this be the finals very easily. Even if the bracket doesn't line up right, we could see this be the finals very easily. These two teams, incredible.
Sorry.
Incredible from both sides. My MVP of the game, though, it has to be Yikes. That performance on Kings Row cannot be understated. The Rhine Hero was great as well. But what happened there at the end with Copel? I mean, Copel just kind of got isolated. There wasn't proper communication. The Mercy exploded. It all fell apart. But, Lord Ethan, I believe we have an interview coming up.
Yeah, I have the opportunity to ask a couple of questions. If I can hear from production, who is that with? Oh, okay. No, not an interview. We'll be throwing it to. We'll be going to a break here, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after a short intermission.
See y'all.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for not going anywhere. The series has concluded, but we still got a little bit left on the show for you guys. Coming back into this, I want to give a quick shout out to our MVP of the series. That's going to be going to, you guessed it, we briefly said it as well. Yikes, the main tank player here for Tempest Typhoon, leading the team to victory, the vanguard of their strategies, and really just a fantastic demonstration of how to play main tank. For me, specifically how not to die on main tank. But not dying on main tank requires a team behind you, and namely members of the support role who are just as quick on their feet and just as competent as you are. We have one of those support players here for Tempest Typhoon in the booth with us. Welcome, Dr. Brennan. Congratulations on your victory.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a fun match.
I'm sure it was. So, Dr. Brennan, chat can't see this, unfortunately, but I'm looking over at Discord, and I see you've got this Moth profile picture. Is Moth a bit of an inspiration for you?
Yes, I love Moth. If you ask my team, I'm always talking about Moth and comparing myself to him.
Moth's a very good player. Not a bad
He
comparison.
Is. And he's cute, so that helps.
Moth's one of those Mercy players that you watch like average level Mercy gameplay, and sometimes there are some exciting moments. Moth is one of those players for me that like just it's always exciting watching the Mercy gameplay, where you might normally want to watch Zen or Ana. So speaking of the diversity of the support lineup, clue me in to we got to see on a myriad supports this evening. What are some of your favorites to play, and is that part of the strategy that Tempest develops, or is it really just Tempest kind of playing around your strengths on the support role?
Well, I'll start off with my favorite support is actually Moira, especially now that she can fly. And then Mercy and Bap are the next two. And I just kind of play whatever Kreia tells us to play. He's like our big mastermind. And then I just practice that a lot. I play this game too much.
Same.
Same. I mean, speaking of the diversity of heroes, you kind of played the same thing on King's Row and on Lijiang Tower, but your team ended up with very different results. What changed as a team in those two different Rush Mirror maps?
I just think we got a little more hyped up after the first map. We were feeling a little like, oh, okay, well, this is how we expect it to go. But I think we still have a chance, and Yikes was very vocal about being good at the game, so that helps. He can be very positive.
Okay.
Yeah, very positive play on that map.
Yeah, especially when he's dominating.
Confidence does tend to be pretty important on the main tank role amongst all the roles. Really, it's good to know that you're good at what you do. Much more than that, to have it broadcasted for fans everywhere as well. Going back to the most useless support Moira. What do you think about the fact that she got the hops now?
Oh, I absolutely love it. It's especially on Lijiang, what is it? Garden? Mm-hmm. You can go from the rock and just jump right into point. And a few scrims ago, I figured that out and we totally turned that around. So ever since then, I've just been working with that. Hopefully I can get my Moira jumps up and our 6-man can get better.
Nice. Any suggestions, any tips to any prospective Moira players out there? I'm sorry for their teams.
Bad influence, Brennan. Bad influence.
Oh, Moira's a fun character. I just watch pro players. That's what I do a lot. Is I'll just sit down in the Overwatch League review, whatever, and I'll just watch them and study what they do.
Yeah, Moira gameplay is actually pretty fun to watch. Not gonna lie.
It is.
Yes. Well, I think that's all we have for our interview, and I think that's all we have for our broadcast. Ethan, do you have any shout-outs you want to give?
Well, first I want to let Brennan do any shout-outs that they've got.
Of course.
Well, really, my whole team is just... We have so much fun together, and they're amazing, especially Lemon Pepper. He likes to joke around, and I think that helps us a lot. He
has just called you a moth simp in chat.
Yep, he's right. He's right.
Ethan, you got any shout outs you want to give?
Yeah, absolutely. First off, to Tempest Typhoon and Kaiju Core Clover for playing exceedingly well tonight. Fantastic show that I got to experience because of both teams, all of our contenders. Big shout out to them, and for Dr. Brennan, thank you so much for joining us as well. If you guys want to see more of me, you guys know where to go. That'll be over at Twitter at Lord Thethan. I think it's the same as my little nameplate down there. You guys can stay up to date with all my casting gigs and endeavors, as well as head over to, after you drop a follow here on Hyperion's Twitch, head over to twitch.tv/ubuffaloesports. I do Overwatch casting for the varsity and Oni team. Season is about to get underway, so very excited to see both the university teams in action.
Excellent. We'd love to hear it. Make sure to follow Ethan then. Well, I think that's it for us on the side of Hyperion. Our next matches are probably going to be Friday. There may be some broadcasts in the intervening time. Join our Discord for any information. I'm sure we have a Twitter, though production hasn't told me yet. But Hyperion Cup on Twitter. Make sure you follow that. That'll give you any information. Hopefully, I'll be casting again next week. I plan to, at least. And I think that's all we have. We will see you all next time. Have a good night.